Okay, now it's time to look at the content to the right of my sidebar. Now when I view this in the Firefox, let me just double check on this. And as you can see here, what we have here is we have our graphic on the left hand side with Join Now, and I have two columns over here. They're not distinguishable, but there are two columns over here on the right hand side. So I want to add some content, and I'm going to specifically use text here to help me draw attention to certain things about this leak. So with that said, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to use column 2. You can see here in my code that I've created, I have a column 2 and I have a column 3. I'm going to go and click in between here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy some text that I've created over from my Word document, and I'm going to paste it in. Now when you do this, the text is not formatted. There's no structure to this. So you have to make sure you have the right tags in. There's different ways to add the text into Dreamweaver, and there's other videos and with lynda.com and so forth that will help you out on that aspect. But this is the way I like to do it. And what I do is that I'm going to have to mark up my text that's inside my div tag to provide structure. If you don't, it treats it all as one paragraph. So look up here at the top and see it says join the hole-in-one golf league, and right now it's basically very hard to read. And what I want to do is I want to have a heading that draws attention to a certain section. I want to have paragraph text, and I have two paragraph text I really want to go in and work with. So up here I'm going to do join the hole. I'm going to add a H2 tag here. Now H1 typically I have at the very top in our title. H2 I usually use for all my subheads, and then I can go down to H3. So notice as soon as I add H2, notice what happens here. This heading becomes easier to read, and now we're just going to have to do our paragraphs. And what I do here is I just put a P tag in. At the end of the paragraph you have to put a closing P tag, which is this /P, and then you got to do the same for the next paragraph. And when you do that, notice what's happening here. It's starting to automatically add the text, make it easier to read on that. So there's some things you can do to make some adjustments to this, So what we can do is start adding and formatting our text to fit our color scheme. And so let's do that. So let's make some adjustments here that's going to have effect on what we're seeing in our main content area. So with this, I would take some of the colors you have up here, and specifically the green in your title here that I created. I'm going to incorporate that into my heading 2 as well. So again, if you're not positive on what colors we're using, if I come back here in my style sheet, I can find that real quickly, and here I have the color for my header 1 as 2B3411. So I'm going to copy that real quick. Again, I have usually my color schemes written down, so but I know some students of mine, they don't do that way on that, so that's how you find it. Now what I'm going to do is come over to my CSS Designer. I'm going to create a new style. That's going to be let me click in the heading first, and then create this. I'm going to click on the plus selector. Now I'm going to take out the pound main. I can leave it there, but I'm going to use it pound colon or pound col2 h space h2, so it only affects the heading 2s and column 2. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down and to my color. I'm going to paste the new color here, and you can see it goes to the green color. So what I'm trying to do is try to fit the color scheme accordingly. Now with the paragraph text here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply some styles to the paragraph text, and what I want to do is I want to increase a little bit of the line height to make it a little bit easier to read. So I'm going to come over to my style section. I'm going to add another selector, and this time I'm going to say pound colon 2 P, and in this case what it's going to do is it's going to actually apply the style to both of the paragraphs, which is great on that part. Now I'm going to come down here to my text options, and I'm going to go in, and here's a line height option, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to just use %. Now right now it's 0, and what happens is it puts the lines on top of each other. So I'm going to go up to 150. Now you do have to be careful on this because you don't want your text to go down below the edge of the column. Okay, so if you go too much, then this text is going to wrap down over top of your footer. So here I went in and I've gone in and increased the height of the lines, the line spacing, and just to help and make it easier to read. Now if you need to, you can go in and change your color of text to fit the color scheme. I'll leave it black for that purpose. I do think what's happening with the paragraph text here, that is really close to the edge on the left hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to add a little extra padding that forces space on the left hand side. So in this case I'm going to do about 5 pixels. Now you can experiment here. If 5 is not enough, you might want to try, like let's see if I do 15, you really can see a big difference. See how it moves it over. Now again, keep in mind it's going to also adjust your space. So most of the time too, because we have a second column over here, we probably want to right padding as well, especially when you have things side by side. When you have columns set up side by side, you definitely want to add padding to the right side as well, because if not, the text is going to line up so closely it's going to make it harder to read, and so they can't distinguish when the columns start. So I'm going to also do 15 on the right hand side. Now it's going to cause a little adjustment, and I'm going to double check to make sure everything fits correctly. Then after that, what I'm going to do here is simply go in and bold certain phrases. So what you want to do is you want to look at the more important aspects, and most of the time when I have the name of the company I'm working with, I'm going to go in, let me close this, I don't need that anymore. I'm going to go in and highlight it and select it and make it bold. Okay, so in this case, hole in one golf, there's under my properties panel, I can click on B for bold, so I can go in and bold it. Especially like dates or times, what I can do here, I can go in and maybe italicize it so it stands out a little bit more. You can also bold and italicize. The key here as you're working with paragraphs of text is you want to add bold to certain phrases to help draw attention, because a lot of people are just going to glance at the paragraph. They're not going to read the entire paragraph. So what you want to do is you want to draw them into certain important phrases. They're going to catch a phrase and they're going to say, oh wait, I might have to read this whole thing. So that's the key. Find important phrases that you can bold and italicize. Now, when you do add the bold, it puts a strong tag in. So notice down here in my code, see how it puts a strong in, and it goes in and puts a closing strong tag in. The italics puts the M tag in and a closing M tag. Can you format that? Yes. So if you wanted to format it to be a different color, you can do so. What I want to do here to really use the colors, I want to use kind of like the opposite color. I've been working with complementing colors, so I'm going to use another color that is going to just draw more emphasis to important phrases. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here to my style sheet. I'm going to add a new selector. Again, if you want all your strong tags to be the same color, then just say strong itself. If you only want to affect that area in that section, then you have to tell it to have that section selected. So in this case, I'm going to come down to my text color and I'm going to choose color here real quick, and well, shoot, sorry about that. It keeps wanting me to paste over here. When I do the copy and paste, I need to come back over. I'll just type it in. Now what this does is just chooses an orange color. It kind of matches green, and usually when you have working with colors and complementary colors and that, you'll see that they typically go together. And anywhere you have bold, it's going to automatically apply it. Now notice there's no other bold on here. So watch what happens here. I'm going to come down and select another phrase here, and I'm going to start. I'm just going to go make the date bold. Once I click on bold, it goes to orange because I'm applying the style to all my strong tags. So automatically it's going to affect the text or the phrases that you select and you make in bold. So keep that in the back of your mind. That's the beauty of style sheets, because style sheets you're going to have it apply to all your pages, for that purpose. So again, once you add your text in, you definitely want to format it a little bit and adjust it where you can. And oops, it looks like I accidentally, when I was up here, where it says the whole one golf, put in a closing p tag there. So what I'm going to do is delete that, and that's because I copy and pasted information. So let me go ahead and delete the extra p tag. That's when I was copying it and trying to paste it in my style sheet, and it pasted it into the code. So I have to make sure I undo what I did there. So again, just going in, making some adjustments. Now, in the third column that we have here, depending on what you're trying to do, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add just a little extra space here, and let me add some content over onto that right. Okay, so I'm going to paste it here. Now, again, I'm going to have to go in and mark it up. So the rate I'm going to use an H3 tag this time because this is not a main subhead. It's getting into a sidebar. So then here's a paragraph of text. So I need to go in and put a p tag in, and I'm going to put a closing p tag in, and then we're going to have another heading here. And another p tag. Again, it's nicely going in and making your content added over here on the right hand side once we have the structure set up. Now again, this is the time where you're going to go in and do some formatting of your text. So like here where rain or shine is, where we have H3, I'm going to come over my external style sheet. I'm going to add a new style. I'm going to have it select column 3 and all the heading 3s in that column. Now, just because of what we just did, you can automatically go in and have it set up a certain color. So if you want to keep it consistent, maybe you want to make this a little bit different. So maybe you're going to take the orange that we have here and incorporate it over, but keep it one of the same colors, either from the heading colors or the other color in your color scheme. So in this case, since I'm working with this, let's make it the color orange again, so that way I'm drawing some emphasis to this. Now you'll see here it automatically goes in and it adds the color to both because it's applying the color to both headings. So again, all we're doing here is we're modifying our styles to kind of have it affect the areas that we're working with. Now if you want to make some adjustments here, what I'm going to probably do, I'm going to make this text transform. I'm going to make this all in uppercase. So it kind of draws attention here, and I'm going to increase the size just a little bit. And of course what we can do here is we can do a text align center the heading. I typically don't center paragraphs of text. You can center headings, but if you center paragraphs of text, it makes it harder to read on that. So here we're just adding our text in. Then again, I would add some bold, italics where you think you want to draw attention to certain areas. So if you want to apply other styles to it, like a drop shadow to the text or something like that, you can definitely try that out. That definitely is going to help. You can also experiment with some other styles like letter spacing. You can go in and say, hey, let's do 5 pixels here, and when I do that, see how it adds a space in between the letters. So again, you can experiment here with your text that you're adding in, but again, the key here is to put your content in, mark up your text so you have some structure, and then let's format your text to fit your color scheme. Now let's save this real quick, and let's view this in our Firefox. So now all I'm doing is I have certain things, and you can see that orange is really drawing your attention to the orange. So you don't want to use it too much because then it defeats the purpose. So I would definitely use orange to help draw attention to certain areas like this, or working with your color scheme. Now if you find, like with this color, a little harder to read, maybe rain or shine, did you know, then you might want to change the color. You can also change the font. That might help out a little bit. Maybe making it, if you change the font family of that, to be more of a solid font, I think Cambria. Skip that. That will modify your fonts. You can also try to change, make the font weight a little bit larger if you needed to. So again, that's just how we would add content, and that's how we format our text inside our content area.